One night in Vegas is worth a year's savings. 1 hour of parking is now more expensive than a week of poor workers' food. And something strange is happening in the middle of the Nevada desert. Hundreds of Americans are living in old RVs, scattered around parking lots at the same symbols that once illuminated the Vegas dream. You can call them tourists, adventurers, or free souls on the road. But behind those RVs, there are no trips at all, are just former hotel employees who sleep temporarily after work, retired grandparents who don't pay enough rent, and people who used to believe that worked hard enough to survive in America. They are not lazy. They are just crushed amid soaring house prices, irrational living costs, and the bottomless greed of those who are still making money from the Vegas lights. Empty parking lots are now home to broken dreams, where people wash their faces with water bottles, cook dinner with a gas stove, and watch strip lights shine on the glass doors as a reminder, American dream is no longer for you. What happened to the city that promised opportunity to everyone? And why is Vegas, symbol of joy and prosperity, turning into hell for those who once believed in that dream? Let's find the answer together in today's video, because if the Vegas light really turns off, then half of America is really falling into darkness. The parking lots around the Strip were once a symbol of prosperity, where thousands of cars followed each other around the clock, reflecting neon on the shiny capo. The parking lots that never slept, the toll machines that kept releasing. Tickets were once the sound of an indefatigable economy. Do you remember the last time you saw a plane land at McCarran International Airport and thought, the city is waiting to welcome? Now, the airport, taxi stand, and entrance to the Strip look like they're waiting for a dead dream. In the past month, Las Vegas lost 11.3% of its visitors, equivalent to more than 400,000 people. At many points on the Strip, people describe ghost hours, periods of time that were previously crowded with tourists, now only a few silhouettes of people quietly passing by. That caused the number of cars entering and exiting parking areas around the Strip to plummet by, from the Mirage area, Bellagio, to the Venetian. The yards were once so overloaded that they had to coordinate the flow of vehicles, but now there are only a few left. Parking fee revenue, once a huge subsource for corporations, has evaporated hundreds of millions of dollars. If you include the amount of spending of customers who have come here to play, eat, sleep, and shop, the actual impact is many times greater. No more bustling scenes of international tourist groups flocking in. Parking lots are now covered with a layer of fine dust. Yellow paint lines fade, and automatic payment stations are silent. A parking attendant at the Bellagio area recalled, previously, every Friday night there was a car battlefield extending all the way to the avenue. My shift hours only have a few SUVs. It feels like I'm guarding a concrete cemetery. What used to be the sound of life, the sound of plastic grinding tires, the loud whistle, is now just an echo in the lost space. So why don't people drive to Vegas anymore? It's simple, because the journey here is no longer an excitement, but a cost problem. Gas prices are up, parking fees are as high as $35, hotel rooms are on the line, while many other cities on the US map, from Phoenix to Austin, are beckoning at affordable prices and more welcoming experiences. A driver from California said, I used to go to Vegas every month. Now just think about parking fees, room fees, resort fees. And I turned around. And as the government crisis spread, things got worse. Thousands of hotel, casino, and parking lot employees had their shifts cut. The parking lots, which were originally empty, are now even more like the ghost yards of the American dream, where there is no more movement. Only the heat rising from the plastic surface seems to be roasting all faith. However, the paradox only exists in Vegas. The fewer cars, the higher the parking fee. Shutdown costs US tourism about $1 billion a week, creating a domino effect of falling visitors, rising costs, slowing operating infrastructure, and people paying more for a city that is less and less feeling of real life. Few cars, few visitors, but prices still increase. If Walmart is empty, will they increase prices? But in Vegas, Emptiness is priced like branded. A bizarre math that only CEOs smile and people frown. A trip to Vegas is no longer an outburst of joy, but a financial decision. Vegas, the city that was once made of adventure and raised by faith, is now stuck in a spiral of costs, politics, and the exhaustion of faith. When the cars stopped coming in, when the wheels stopped rolling, this city not only lost its guests, but lost the very heartbeat that defined it for almost a century. On long parking lots, the beacons still flash, but there aren't many cars left to park. The American dream, once started the moment you stopped the car, looking up at the strip lights, now lies still in the desert, like a parking ticket that has never been used. When even the wheels that once took people to the promised land have stopped, is there still a place in America that is still moving? But the real damage is not in the empty parking lots, but in the hearts that have stopped wanting to return to Vegas. Las Vegas is a city of light, of lavish promises and life-changing dreams, is gradually revealing a wound that has never healed: the homeless crisis. For decades now, under the brilliant billboards, are tent cities growing along the sidewalk, and deep underground are the tunnel people community living in the underground sewer system, souls hidden among the underworld of Sin City. But now, a new form is emerging: homeless people on wheels. They are not in tents, nor are they underground. They live in old RVs, rusty valves, or even in cars, the only thing left in the middle of a dwindling life. According to official statistics for 2025, Las Vegas recorded 7,906 homeless people, an increase of more than 20.4% over the previous year. But even that number is just the tip of the iceberg, because the city doesn't take into account the people who are living in the car. The people who exist on the margins of all definitions are not recognized as homeless, and so there isn't any policy for them. No safe parking, no medical support, not counted in the report. They are forgotten people in the grey area of the system who are not seen, not helped, and not allowed to stop. From afar, someone may mistakenly think RV living is an American freelance lifestyle, can go anywhere, live the way you want. But in Las Vegas today, it's a form of survival. A 70-year-old veteran said he had to sleep in a broken RV after the landlord increased the rent by $200 per month. An elderly woman must store insulin in a 12V refrigerator to keep the medicine from spoiling. Many people bathe at Planet Fitness, eat boxed noodles in the dark, and constantly travel every 72 hours to avoid being fined $115 for parking for too long. Their lives are a series of days of running away, not from sin, but from the regulations created to erase them from the map of the city. On I-15, Boulder Highway in North Las Vegas, as night fell, dozens of old RVs, valves, and sedans appeared again. The windows were covered with newspaper, and the curtains were closed to avoid the police's gaze. Someone quipped that resort parking fees are now too expensive, so visitors have to park on the street. But behind that joke is a bitter truth. Many of them were hotel staff, drivers, technicians, who once served millions of tourists, now living on the sidelines of the very dream that they contribute to creating. So who is allowed to exist in a city designed just for tourists? And how many more nights will these people be seen? Not through the spotlight, but through the naked truth of America today. A country that still shines outside, but is quietly collapsing in its own darkness. In the Nevada desert, where the Las Vegas lights still shine every night, there is a paradox that is silencing the entire United States. Those who work hardest are those who live the hardest. They still wake up before dawn, still wear uniforms, and still smile to greet guests in gold-plated casinos. But when night falls, they don't return to any comfortable apartments, but to an old RV parked on the edge of the city's empty parking lot. In Las Vegas, working hard is now synonymous with working forever. 55 to 65. Generation workers used to believe that just working hard can be assured of old age, now has to do 2, even 3 jobs to survive. During the day, they work as hotel receptionists, technology drivers at night, help with the kitchen, or clean the room on weekends. And despite their exhausting work schedules, many people still admit that they don't have enough rent, don't have enough medical money, and sometimes, not enough dinner. In Clark County, average rents have nearly doubled in just 4 years, bringing even those with stable jobs to a standstill. A one-bedroom apartment once cost less than $1,000, now it's nearly $1,800, with an hourly salary of about $17, $19 USD. A popular figure in the hotel, restaurant, or casino industry. Its monthly income after tax almost evaporates just to pay rent and electricity and water. And as the cost of petrol, insurance, food also escalates, the only thing many people can cut is their home. Many people have chosen a seemingly temporary solution, moving into an RV. But that temporary usually lasts indefinitely. A 62-year-old woman who worked as a wedding manager said that she had to sell all her belongings, keeping only a few paper boxes and a small TV. Every night, she parked her car near the church, used electricity from the public charging port to run the fan, and ate noodles instead of dinner. I used to think just hard work was enough. Now I know, hard work no longer means living. According to many reports, Social Security is not keeping up with inflation. A surprise medical bill of just a few hundred USD can push the elderly out onto the streets. Those who have contributed for 40 years now have to rely on 12V refrigerators, take baths in the gym, and pray not to be knocked on by the police in the middle of the night. From afar, Las Vegas still shines as a symbol of the American dream. But below, the empty parking lots are now full of wheeled houses, where workers doze off between two shifts, not because they are lazy, but because they are exhausted. People call it crisis of affordability. Crisis of affordability. But for many people, it has become crisis of dignity. Crisis of dignity. When a working life is still not enough to buy a roof, when retirement becomes a luxury illusion, the question is no longer how much more work do we need, but how to live to be considered live. From afar, Las Vegas's strip remains as bright as America's never-ending promise. But if you look closer, you will see that light is reflecting on a hollow city, where splendid casinos are now a distorted mirror of corporate greed. Behind the impressive profit reports and recovery numbers is a deep crack spreading throughout Sin City's foundation. Caesars Entertainment, the name that used to be the symbol of dream in the middle of the desert, is now just a financial illusion. This group has been removed from the S&P 500 index, carrying a huge debt of more than 12.3 billion USD. In an effort to keep themselves from collapsing, they are forced to sell the assets once considered the soul of the World Series of Poker and the Link Promenade, brands just to temporarily spin cash. But selling off the symbol doesn't save trust. With each deal signed, hundreds of people lose their jobs, and thousands more understand that Vegas Party has left no room for them. About 50,000 Caesars employees are living in a state of uncertainty. Many people lost their homes as rents in Clark County nearly doubled in just a few years. A large part of them used to be familiar faces in the hotel lobby, in the kitchen, or at the reception desk. Now they sleep in the car, in the tent, or on the same parking lot where they used to work. They still wear old name tags, still remember shifts. The only difference is that today, they are no longer allowed to walk through the door. At MGM and resorts along the Strip, the picture isn't any brighter. Big companies are optimizing the cost by cutting shifts, combing, and replacing long-time personnel with cheap short-term labor. Vegas, Service's sole housekeeping department was sharply cut. Engineering, security, and maintenance staff were forced to take rotating breaks. Performance is no longer a human devotion, but a number on an Excel spreadsheet. When profits fall, people are the first item to be crossed out. If the Vegas lights are still bright but lit with workers' worries and tears, is it still the city of dreams? Or just a luxurious illusion cast on exhausted souls? As night fell on the Strip, LED light from the giant dome still shone brightly into the Nevada sky. But outside that halo, another image is going on. Empty parking lots have become a haven for hundreds of people who no longer have a home to go to. During the day, that is where tourists park their cars to enter the casino. At night, it turns into temporary residential, where RVs, old sedans, and tents line up, like an underground city of forgotten souls. In Fremont Street, the LED dome still plays music, still shoots like America's endless party. But right underfoot, sleeping bags lay close together, thin blankets covered the hot road surface. The volunteer group brought a few trays of food and distributed it to each person in silence. Above, visitors laugh and talk, record videos, and cheer in front of the light show. Below, an older man quietly ate the first bite of the day. Those are two Las Vegas, one living in the light and one living in the darkness of the light itself. The parking lots around the entertainment complexes along Las Vegas Boulevard or North Fremont have become off-the-books ecosystem, a world that operates without government, without contracts, only trust and survival. Each RV is a temporary apartment. Each dark corner is a spontaneous service station. One person repairs the mobile generator, the other divides gas, water, or temporary wires between each other. When the police went on patrol, they used flashlights 3 times to signal. When a person falls ill, that small community manages to find medicine on its own. There are no benefits, no rules, but there is still a minimal human order amidst the chaos. Here, a gallon of gasoline is more precious than a tip. Many people have to choose between filling the jar or eating a decent meal. Every 72 hours, they have to start moving to another yard to avoid being fined. The endless, vicious cycle of people who are still living legally, but is no longer anywhere. No one counted, no one recorded. With the system, they are simply invisible. Las Vegas was once built on the promise, everyone has the opportunity to start over. But now, the same parking lots that used to be available to visitors to change their lives have become gloomy replicas of the American dream. The place where people used to park their cars to enter the casino is now where they set up tents to survive the night. Each silent car shadow is a social mirror, dark mirror, that reflects on the way greed has shaped this city. Brilliant outside, empty inside. If a city is called the capital of entertainment, but must rely on parking to feed its abandoned residents, is what Vegas is reflecting to America? The dream, or the very darkness of that dream? Looking down from above, Las Vegas still shimmers like a giant circuit in the middle of the desert. But when you zoom in on each of those bright spots, you will see that the lights are still bright and the pace of life is slowing down. Very slowly, like a city falling apart. No spectacular collapse, no emergency declaration. It's just that each casino is less crowded, each store closes earlier, each employee disappears from the shift board without anyone noticing. According to data published in May 2025, game revenue decreased steadily in most categories. Slot machines decreased by 5%, baccarat decreased by 10%, and total gaming revenue decreased by 4%. For a city that lives on light and stakes, that number is more than just a statistic, which is a sign of a silent recession. As travelers spend less, businesses cut costs, and every decision optimizes staffing means hundreds of families lose their livelihoods. In just 1 month, from late 2024 to early 2025, Las Vegas lost more than 4,300 jobs. People who used to operate lighting systems, clean rooms, drive tourist buses, now struggling with rent and electricity and water bills. The imbalance spread beyond Strip. Schools were short of students, grocery stores were empty, and once vibrant neighborhoods were now silent. As travel cash flow shrinks, the spiral begins. Revenue falls, layoffs, local purchasing power weakens. Revenue falls even deeper. If this city hadn't collapsed loudly, but just disintegrated in silence, Would we have realized when it actually lost its, or just noticed when the last lights went out in the desert? Amid Las Vegas's shining towers, it's hard to believe that many of the people who built them can no longer afford to live where they built them. They are a generation of rough hands, of night shifts, of years of believing that Vegas always has work for those who work hard. But now, when the lights are still bright, those people are gradually disappearing from the city they once called home. Workers aged 55-65, who used to be the backbone of the hotel, entertainment and casino industry, are facing the feeling that no longer belongs here. A woman who has been a receptionist for over 30 years said, "I don't recognize my city anymore. Everything is brighter, more expensive, but colder." For them, Vegas is no longer a symbol of opportunity, but a bitter reminder that loyalty and experience are no longer valuable in the new economy. When corporations cut staff, senior workers become silent victims. They were not redeployed because they were considered too old for modern service. Those who used to teach vocational training to the younger generation cannot find a part-time job. They want employees to know how to program self-check-in machines and know how to manage using applications. As for us, we only know how to serve people, says a former technical officer at Caesars. That seemingly simple statement exposes a whole generation gap, where people are replaced not because they are poor, but because they are so real. Hundreds of people in this group left Vegas, taking their last bit of savings with them. Some acquired old RVs for temporary shelters. Others moved to cheaper states like Arizona or New Mexico, where they hoped to start over. As for those who stayed in, they witnessed residential areas outside the Strip gradually emptying, small shops closing, and schools lacking students. The city that once lived on the influx of people is now bleeding its own residents. Las Vegas used to be called the city that never sleeps. But perhaps the more heartbreaking truth is, it just doesn't dare to face the nightmare growing in the dark. A place once built with the sweat, faith and aspirations of hundreds of thousands of workers is now letting themselves wither in RVs, in tents, in cold parking lots in the middle of the desert. The neon light is still flashing, the music is still playing, but inside, Vegas has lost its true melody, human melody. The people who built this city have now become lost shadows on its edges. And perhaps Las Vegas' biggest paradox lies not in the debt numbers or the key-free casino, but in the fact that it has forgotten the very people who made this place live. If a city forgets the people who built it, what meaning does its light have? And when the hands that light up Vegas now have to leave, who will keep its soul this long night? If you believe that stories like this need to be told, please like, share, and subscribe to join us in continuing to illuminate the hidden corners behind of the American dream. Because sometimes, only when the light goes out can we see the truth. The content in this video was built with the aim of analyzing reflective social reflection based on public sources, reports, and reliable media material at the time of compilation. All details, facts, and comments are presented without criticism, attack, or attribution to any individual, organization, or government. Characters, stories, and quotes, if any, are used to recreate the actual context and provoke discussion of contemporary social, economic issues, without political connotations or negative direction. Viewers are encouraged to learn and verify information from many sources themselves before forming their own conclusions.